Welcome to RV and Travel Adventures. Today's date is April 3rd, 2025. And I thought I'd produce a video talking about ideal RVing. What is your ideal RV? I can only talk about my own imagined perfect RV. And why, after, living on this planet over 72 and a half, going on 73 years in about a month or so, why I want this specific style of an RV, having done camping since the 60s and 70s, okay? So, what are the parameters I set forth to pick out this specific, idealized, imagined, if budget was no object, RV, okay? Where I want to go requires a certain style of RV. Making it easy to go from A to B to Z requires a certain RV. So, where do I want to go? I want to go into the mountains, maybe down a little bit of a dirt road, a rutted road, going down to visit Chaco Canyon, or down the Baja, down to a beach, or maybe visiting people in Maine or Florida and going down a circuitous route. A lot of highway travel, hundreds of miles of highway travel, if not thousands of miles of highway travel, and something that'll be good for me, that I would enjoy driving. Again, it's not a towable. Some people envision, after 50 years working at the old grind, the old company, where they were, existing but not living, they envision themselves going places now and doing things. I have been all through my life traveling, throughout the Southwest especially, and enjoying my life. I never was tied down to a certain job, and, I didn't accrue millions upon millions and millions of dollars of wealth, but I'm doing okay. And I could buy this RV that I want, but, I'm in a relationship with my wife. Okay, my wife says, you're going to do this. We're going to be using the money for this and not for this, which is the RV which I want. Okay, let me put a price point on my RV. You can get on the lot. It's been on the lot for about a year, maybe a year and a half. An RV of this specific motorhome for about $100,000. You can buy it new on the lot for about $115,000, $120,000. You can buy a little bit of an upgrade of that specific model, a little bit nicer version from another manufacturer, and that would go for about $145,000, $150,000. So it's not cheap. And again, it's all relative to how much money you have to spend, how much disposable money do you have to toss on your dreams and adventures. What is life all about? It's about adventures. It's about having fun. It's about exploring. Some folks like to explore from the living room and watch TV. I understand. They continue to, grow while watching that, the boob tube. Some folks want to go to that resort and play shuffleboard, ping pong, play bingo, as I experienced last month at an RV resort in South Texas. Some people, that's their dream. My dream is very, very different. I am trying to stay relatively fit. I like to hike. I like to walk. And the way I accumulate miles upon miles upon miles is by going places exploring, walking around, climbing those hills, walking, not driving there and then just walking a few steps. I actually park somewhere and then I walk for miles upon miles upon miles and explore regions, look at every nook and cranny, enjoy it. As a photographer, I like taking pictures while I'm on these excursions. A lot of these photographs you can see on my RVTA website, rvta.myportfolio.com, or you can go to my commercial website, jmmgarza.com. So that's my reason to go exploring, because I like to look at things. I get very excited seeing things that are very interesting. Decaying infrastructure, people in doing certain activities, something very creative. I enjoy that. So I am limited because I have a very modest travel trailer that's always needing repairs. I'm always repairing it. I understand why entry level, $25,000 to $40,000 travel trailers are constantly falling apart because they're not built very nicely. They're just essentially a box, and they shove in all these, cheaply made, stapled together parts and call it good. If I bought a motorhome, a small motorhome, in the again $90,000 to $150,000, budget, they're not going to be made to a super high standard. They're not going to be the $200,000, $250,000 motorhome. They're not going to be the $300,000 motorhome. What do I like? I like a small Ford Transit-based all-wheel drive motorhome, Class B plus. I would love to have one of them. Typically, they are about 26, 25, 24 feet. Most of them are rear beds, and some have garages. Often they're, very nice for one or two people. They're not designed for, taking the family. But luckily right now, I'm going on 73 in a few weeks, and I'm not, worried about carrying my children. I'm not worried about carrying my grandchildren. I'm not worried about carrying my great-grandchildren. They're off doing their own thing over there. I would like, again, the adventure of life, existence, requires a certain amount of income. I understand. Most people, if you did some research, and I read about this research about people being actually happy. People that are happiest are not necessarily the richest people. They're the ones that have family, friends, and parties. You're an old man like me, and you're invited to the grandkids and kids and the neighbors' party, and you're out there dancing and having a good time and having a couple drinks, having some good food, barbecue, whatever you're having. That's what makes people happy. Be you in Azerbaijan or, Bangkok or Baton Rouge or Fort Worth, Texas. That's what makes people happy. Having a sense of community and inclusion. People actually hug you, give you a kiss, and say, "Hey, how you doing?" And you just talk, and you sit there, have a little cold one, be it a Diet Pepsi or a cerveza, whatever your preference is, and you're just hanging out with family and friends. That energy envelops you. That love envelops you. I've been away from my family and my community. My community is in the Bay Area. It's all in the Bay Area. And it's not here in Fort Worth, Texas, to be honest with you. And my wife and I are not, good at creating new relationships. We're not part of a church or a synagogue or a mosque or a temple or anything. We're just here working, doing our thing, and living our lives in our studio spaces. My wife's in the other room, knitting, sewing, creating things, doing research, writing books. I'm in my studio doing photography, editing photographs, fixing the fence, fixing the roof, painting things, fixing the house and fixing, of course. Fixing what? Fixing the RV constantly. So I visualize myself in this little container called a motorhome, and I'm driving easily. I can go, over those mountains in the Rockies, you know, during the, in certain inclines. I've been, I've driven in where it's, it's down here, then all of a sudden it goes up like that, and your car goes. You notice the temperature just changed on your old vehicle, and it's not good for the vehicle. So I can imagine that in my travel trailer, it's not going to work. But in a motorhome, especially a newer motorhome, it should not be a problem. So I can go. I've been to the Eastern Sierras. I've been to the Western Sierras. I've been to Washington, Oregon, Nevada, Southern California, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Wyoming, Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas. The list goes on and on. Florida, and I can see myself driving my little vehicle, find a little spot where I can park it and take a little nap. Saying, hey, this is a nice quiet spot. I've parked in neighborhoods and like Flagstaff, Arizona, residential neighborhoods. And my wife and I have been, sleeping in the back of our truck. I can see myself doing that in a van, just finding a spot, parking it, and having a good time. So other than being around all my family back in Silicon Valley, which I can't afford, by the way, I can't afford to live next to my daughter. She just bought a bigger house. She just bought a house, and then she bought a bigger house in Silicon Valley. She's doing okay. Her husband is doing okay. Same with my other daughter. She had bought a house, and she's doing very nicely. Everybody's doing good in Silicon Valley as compared to my wife and I, who are here in Fort Worth. We're doing okay, but we're not doing as well as them, okay? So I can't move next to family and friends. I can move close, maybe 200 miles away from Silicon Valley, somewhere in a little obscure city like Chico or Redding or Arcata. I can move to one of those cities. Maybe, if situation allows me, I would love to have again that motorhome to go travel around los Estados Unidos, Baja, explore, look, go take pictures, have a good time, shoot YouTube videos, etc., etc. But, this is the big but, I am married. My wife has other plans for the money. What is a man to do? My wife wants to go to Europe. In fact, we might be going to Europe. She's going to be teaching, possibly. Who knows what the hell she's going to do? She always tells me these things. We might be going to Europe and doing some things down there this summer. We're definitely going to San Francisco. We're definitely going to Northern Iowa. Northern Iowa, a hotbed of action. So we're going to be going to these places and, living our lives. And my wife has plans. Seems like sometimes I feel like the tail on the dog, and my wife's the dog, and she just waves me around. But she's allowed me to do my little YouTube channel. She's allowed me to do certain things, spend money on certain things. But then there's a limit. You can buy that $25,000 travel trailer in December of 2021, that 2022 Rockwood Mini Light 2205S at $25,000. Not $30,000, $25,000. You got a good price on it. She goes like this, motorhome? No, that's not going to happen. I have spoken. That's not going to happen. I know how much joy you get traveling around, taking pictures. So there's a bifurcation. That's when one goes this way and one goes that way. My wife wants to go to Europe. My wife wants to go to New York. My wife wants to go to Chicago. She likes infrastructure, museums, and especially she's very Eurocentric, okay? Compared to me, I'd rather go to the state park, the county park, in rural communities and take some pictures of, again, decaying infrastructure in general, nature, and do some fishing. Bam! Catch a trout, catch a salmon, etc., etc. That's what I like. I like the natural environment. My wife likes the built-up environment. So she's a lot, I've, come to the realization that, when we move back to Northern California, I'm not going to see my dream come true of having a small transit-based Ford Transit all-wheel drive, base B plus. That's going to cost $100,000. We're not going to do that. I don't see that happening. It's going to be the small travel trailer, and I'm going to go to the, Caples Lake, Silver Lake, and the various, campgrounds in Northern California, Southern Oregon, maybe even go to Idaho. Who knows? That's going to be the experience that I'm going to have. And I'm going to have to be happy with that. But always in the back of my head, way in the back of my head, I go, man, going up the hill, I have to go 50 miles an hour because that small truck and my travel trailer don't like it because the crosswinds and stuff, and it's a bit of an incline. Where I could be with that transit, go zip, 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 zip. Park it downtown, call it good. I don't have to drop my travel trailer, then get in my truck and go somewhere. At my age, unhitching that RV, especially that 10,000 pound, capacity, equalizer hitch, that little hitch is heavy. I lift it up, I go, oh, man, it used to be lighter. Just several years ago. It used to be lighter. Now it seems like it's heavier and heavier, and the bars are heavier. Everything's getting heavier. I'm, strange as it sounds, okay? So I just wanted to talk about today my reality and what I would like to do, what yours truly, Jesus Manuel Mena Garza, would like to do. But, as my reality comes into clear focus, it's not going to come to fruition. I would like to have all this stuff. I would like to do this. But, there's always what's called compromises. There's compromises. Life's full of compromises. You can't do everything you want. And I understand that at going on 73 years old. I understand that too well, But I'm doing okay. Can't complain too much, I just want to go that extra RVing mile, and I'd love to have that, that Gemini or other brand of similar size, B plus. I would love to have one of those. I would love to have one. And I always, when I go to the dealership, I go to like motorhome specialists and to the RV shows and stuff like that. I always go, wow. I go inside it. I go, wow, this is sweet. If you can afford a nice motorhome that gets, especially a smaller one, I'm talking about, under 27, 26, 25 feet, you can go anywhere. You can park it in downtown Detroit or New York or San Francisco. It should be no problem. Be a pain in the ass, but you could probably park it there. And it'd be easy to park in some of these rural communities, these smaller communities. You just park it, there's a lot of parking spots. So, again, communities that have a lot of people and communities that are, smaller and have, easier access to facilities and parking. I'm always, when I go, downtown Fort Worth or Dallas or San Francisco and stuff like that, LA, and I go, man, parking's hard here. But then I go to some small communities, I go, man, parking everywhere. Anywhere I want to go, I can park. Free parking. Amazing. So thanks for listening to me talk about my fantasy of wanting a B plus, but it's not going to come to fruition. There's about a 1% chance that's going to happen. 1% chance, and I only see one way that's going to happen, and that would be very unpleasant to if that ever happened. Okay, so in all probability, that's not going to happen. It's not going to come to fruition. Okay, it's not going to come to fruition. I am going to have to modify my behaviors, when I'm traveling my little travel trailer and seeing that hill, I'm going to go, everybody else is going 75, 70 miles an hour. I'm going to go 50. And when I see the radiator getting a little bit warm, I'm going to park on the side. Everybody's going to go beep, 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 going around me. And I'm going to have to say, I have to wait for my vehicle to cool down. Because it's towing something up that hill. And then I have to go down that turn and the wind's blowing me. Wow. You ever been in the Eastern Sierras? They got some roads that have cliffs on the side of them. You go down Highway 1 and, from, LA to Carmel and stuff like that. There's cliffs over there. And there's some breezes that come once in a while and just shake your confidence. Hope you enjoyed this video. This has been Jesus Manuel Mena Garza. Hope you're having a great day. I'm modifying my setup here in my studio. Yesterday I had a different background. Today I have another background. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Leave your kind and friendly comments below. And check out my Patreon page, patreon.com/jmmgarza. And don't forget there are memberships available. And check my website, myportfolio.com. Let me say it again. RVTA. Confused now, I apologize. RVTA.myportfolio.com. From Fort Worth, Texas, hope you're doing fantastic. Ring the bell for future notifications. Gracias. Adios. Bye-bye.